Hello, young man. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, one that I believe is essential for anyone who wants to succeed in life, and that is the value of conflict management. You see, as someone who has dedicated his life to fighting crime and protecting the innocent, I have learned a thing or two about how to handle difficult situations and stay calm under pressure. And I want to share those lessons with you, because I believe that everyone can benefit from learning how to manage conflicts effectively. First of all, let's define what conflict management is. Conflict management is the process of identifying, analyzing, and resolving conflicts in a constructive manner. It involves being able to stay calm and composed, even in the face of adversity, and being able to think clearly and make rational decisions. It's a skill that is essential for anyone who wants to succeed in their personal or professional life, because conflicts are an inevitable part of life, and being able to manage them effectively can make all the difference. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking, but I'm not a superhero like you. I don't have to deal with villains and criminals on a daily basis. And that's true. You may not have to deal with the same kind of conflicts that I do, but that doesn't mean that you won't have to deal with conflicts at all. Conflicts can arise in any situation, whether it's in your personal relationships, your workplace, or your community. And being able to manage those conflicts effectively can make a huge difference in the outcome. So how do you learn to manage conflicts effectively? Well, the first step is to stay calm and composed. When we're faced with a conflict, our natural instinct is often to react impulsively, to lash out or to get defensive. But that's not usually the best approach. Instead, take a step back, take a deep breath, and try to think clearly about the situation. Ask yourself what the conflict is about, what the other person wants, and what you want. Try to identify the underlying issues and concerns, and think about how you can address them in a constructive way. Another important thing to remember is to listen actively. When we're in a conflict, it's easy to get caught up in our own perspective and to forget to listen to the other person's point of view. But listening is essential to resolving conflicts effectively. Make sure you hear the other person out and try to understand where they're coming from. Ask questions, clarify their concerns, and show that you're interested in finding a solution that works for both of you. It's also important to communicate effectively. When we're in a conflict, it's easy to get defensive or aggressive, and to say things that we might later regret. But that's not usually the best approach. Instead, try to communicate clearly and respectfully, and avoid making personal attacks or insults. Use I statements instead of you statements, and try to focus on the issue at hand, rather than making personal attacks. Now, I know that all of this may seem like a lot to take in, and it may seem like it's easier said than done. But trust me, with practice and patience, you can learn to manage conflicts effectively, and it's worth it, because being able to manage conflicts can make a huge difference in your life. It can help you build stronger relationships, achieve your goals, and even improve your mental and physical health. As someone who has been in a lot of conflicts, I can tell you that it's not always easy. There have been times when I've had to deal with some very difficult people, and times when I've had to make some very tough decisions. But I've learned that staying calm and composed, listening actively, and communicating effectively can make all the difference. And I've also learned that it's okay to ask for help when you need it. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or a professional, don't be afraid to reach out for support when you're dealing with a conflict. In addition to these skills, it's also important to have a clear understanding of your own values and goals. When you know what you stand for and what you want to achieve, you're better able to navigate conflicts and make decisions that align with your values. And it's also important to be flexible and adaptable, because conflicts often require creative solutions and compromises. It's also worth noting that conflicts can be opportunities for growth and learning. When we're faced with a conflict, it can be tempting to try to avoid it or to get defensive. But conflicts can also be chances to learn more about ourselves and others, and to develop new skills and perspectives. So try to approach conflicts with an open mind and a willingness to learn, and see them as opportunities for growth and development. Now I want to talk about some specific strategies that you can use to manage conflicts effectively. One of the most important things is to stay focused on the issue at hand. When we're in a conflict, it's easy to get sidetracked by other issues or to bring up past grievances, but that's not usually helpful. Instead, try to stay focused on the current issue and try to find a solution that addresses it. Another important thing is to use positive language. When we're in a conflict, it's easy to get caught up in negative language and to start using attacks or insults, but that's not usually helpful. Instead, try to use positive language and focus on finding solutions rather than placing blame. It's also important to be aware of your own emotions and biases. When we're in a conflict, it's easy to get caught up in our own emotions and to let our biases influence our decisions. But that's not usually helpful. Instead, try to be aware of your own emotions and biases, and try to approach the conflict with a clear and level head. In addition to these strategies, it's also important to be willing to compromise and find a middle ground. Conflicts often require creative solutions and compromises, and being willing to listen to the other person's perspective and find a solution that works for both of you can make a huge difference. Finally, I want to talk about the importance of taking care of yourself when you're dealing with conflicts. Conflicts can be stressful and emotionally draining, and it's essential to take care of yourself and make sure that you're not burning out. Make sure you're getting enough rest, eating well, and engaging in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. In conclusion, conflict management is an essential skill for anyone who wants to succeed in life. It involves staying calm and composed, listening actively, and communicating effectively. It also involves being flexible and adaptable, and being willing to compromise and find a middle ground. By developing these skills and strategies, you can learn to manage conflicts effectively and achieve your goals. And if you feel this talk helpful, don't forget like and subscribe. And if you want to be a more grateful person, you can donate on the Patreon account. Link on description. See you soon, friends.